This is My Favorite DJ, the podcast. Hey guys, sorry it's been a minute. I've kind of taken a break. Not taken, but I took a break because I think the break's over. I took a break for about 2 weeks from a lot of the grind that I'm usually on because I wanted to recharge, reconfigure, reassess, figure out a couple things that are like moving in my personal life, and wanted to put deliberate attention into spaces that needed it at the time. But I feel like I wanted to get back into the routine after maybe 2 weeks at most, 10 days maybe. I wanted to get back into the routine of doing things because it makes me the happiest to be active. In regards to everything else in my life, everything else has been moving forward. So like going to the gym every day, eating as well as I can, exercising, everything's fine. But work kind of took a back seat just for, a little bit. Claimed a lot of victories this year. A lot of great stuff happened. Right now, this is something that we can start off the podcast with. Right now, I'm pretty much booked the entire month of January. And if anyone out there is a DJ that books their own gigs, you know how difficult January is because there's like a huge hangover from the holidays and everyone's already spent all their money on presents, or they've spent all their money partying on New Year's Eve. So January is usually, at least for me, maybe everyone's experience out there is different, but at least for me, January has always been a really difficult month to fill with the most gaps of any month. But I am booked every weekend in January. So let me rattle off some dates here. The 14th, Friday. Oh, we do city first. Sorry. San Francisco, I'm coming to Love and Propaganda Friday, December 14th. Then I'm at Hyde in the Bellagio in Las Vegas. City first. Las Vegas, I'm going to be at Hyde on Saturday, the 15th. Wood Tavern, I'm playing in Miami. Damn it, city first, dummy. It'll take me a second to get back into the mix of speaking while I think. Podcasting as a solo act, if you will, is relatively difficult because there's no one to bounce back and forth, and you constantly have to keep speaking, because if I stop, nothing happens. So sometimes I'll get tongue-tied. It's really a pretty good exercise in fluid speech. Also while you think. Miami, I'm going to be at Wood Tavern on Tuesday, December 18th. Blackbird, Friday. Also in Miami, so city first, dummy. In Miami again. Blackbird, the 21st. Wish in Boca Raton. And that's going to be December 22nd. Then I have actually another Tuesday at Blackbird. These are all in South Florida, so that's why I'm not saying city first. Blackbird on Tuesday, the 25th. The last 4 days of the year, I will be in the Dominican Republic playing at Genesis. And then I'll just hit you guys with a few January dates. Miami, 11, Thursday the 3rd of January, 2019. The year is over at that point and just beginning a new one. I hope you guys had a good 2018. It hasn't even been a year that this podcast has been going on, and we've had a pretty successful year. I think there's, over 100,000, I haven't looked, but over 100,000 listens, and at this point, we probably cracked that by a lot. Fort Lauderdale, I'm going to be at Sway January on the 4th, and then back at Hyde in Las Vegas on January 5th. I'll read the rest of my dates as they roll around. I might do a podcast from the Dominican Republic because I'll be in Paradise for 4 days. So that's going to be a load of fun. If you guys are in any of the cities I just mentioned and you want to go out, grab some dinner, you want to hang out, you want to talk, whatever, just send me a message, send me a DM via Instagram, and I will get back to you. I always do. A lot of my connections with DJs just happen over social media. Somebody will send me a message and be like, yo, do you want to grab some grub? I want to say it was Ohio. Was I in Ohio? Probably Ohio. And DJ Smooth hit me up and he was like, yo, let's go eat. And we went to go eat at this organic spot that was probably the best restaurant that I've ever eaten at outside of a major metropolitan city, like Miami, Los Angeles, New York, San Francisco. This was a really, really, really good restaurant. It was a crunchy vegan spot. It was a vegan place, but they had a lot of other things in there that were fantastic. Acai bowls and cold pressed juices, and they had what else did they have? They had a lot of natural, no processed food stuff, which is like my favorite kind of food to eat because I hate processed food. It just doesn't sit right in my stomach anymore. Maybe it's from like a lifetime or an early lifetime of eating like microwavable burritos. When I was in middle school, microwavable burritos were like my go-to. That's like my staple. If there's one thing that I wish I could change about my childhood, it'd be the nutrition aspect. Because I used to eat really bad. Yeah, this was in Cleveland. So this restaurant was fantastic. DJ Smooth hit me up and he's like, yo, let's go. Usually what happens is somebody will hit me up and I will deflect responsibility. So I think I did it with Smooth also, just because I'm not going to stay on top of a dinner plan that I didn't make, right? So somebody like Smooth hit me up and they would say, hey, you're going to be in my city on this Saturday. Let's go grab some grub. Okay, cool. Hit me up Saturday around 3 p.m. That's when I land. We'll figure it out. And I just forget. From that point on, it's no longer my responsibility to get up with you or talk about, let's go do this or go do that. Like, I've thrown all the responsibility in your court. I land, sure enough, a few minutes after I land, Smooth's like, yo, dinner tonight, what time's good for you? I'm like, 9 o'clock. I got a scheduled dinner at this restaurant. Let's go. So he hits me back at like 8. He's like, yo, dinner's still good at 9. I'm like, yep. So that's what I'm talking about. Like, I don't have the mental capacity, especially if I'm traveling like 3 days in a row, 4 days in a row, to keep track of everything, because I'm trying to keep track of like the real essential shit. Like, wake up at this time. It takes this long to get to the airport. This is where your hotel is. This is what room number you're in. You got to do this. You got to do that. And then those are like the priorities. And then, secondary stuff might be like family stuff or like things that I have to remember that are right outside of the immediate circle of work. And most likely, if you invite me somewhere or ask me about something and you don't like get back to me, I'm going to forget. And again, I'm not an asshole. I hope that doesn't sound like me being an asshole. I just don't remember. I have a lot of questions that have been sent into the email, and I want to use those as a springboard to kind of get into a lot of different subjects. The first one is it's a really good question, and it comes from a non-DJ. So Katie Mack is somebody that was listening to, I think, Mixcloud. She found my Club Killers mix, and which, by the way, I'm 98% with my latest Club Killers mix. It's it's been sitting there. I have like one song left, but again, as I said, I have put aside work for the last couple of days just because of a lot of things going on. But I have one song left, and I finally found the one song that I'm going to put at the end to complete the story arc of the mix, and then I'm going to send it into Club Killers. What I like about the mix specifically is that it doesn't follow the usual trend of banger, 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 high energy, big sound, use this to work out. It's like, I think we are going to have to expand our vocabulary in regards to the kind of music and mixes that we put out there for general consumption to the public, because that whole big energy, dance, move thing is gone. That's a wrap. It's going to revert back. I've witnessed it. At this point, I'm so happy that I'm a veteran, because I've witnessed market cycles, and I witnessed the market cycle prior to the EDM boom, and it was very much so like what's working now. Smaller lounges, fun music, sing-alongs, danceable things. Not necessarily build up, drop, breakdown, build up, drop, breakdown, constantly over and over and over. So my mix, hopefully, because I wasn't like trying to achieve that high level of energy, hopefully it opens up a lot of ideas in people's brains as to what they can do for mixes to push to the general public. Katie Mack, who writes the first question for today's podcast. She was listening to the Mixcloud app or the Mixcloud website and came across one of my mixes on Club Killers. They are from Seattle, and they would go out on the boat, hang out, play the mix. They loved it. They happened to be in Vegas. They saw my name at a club, and they were like, holy shit, that's the DJ from the mix thing that we listened to on the boat. And they were like, immediately like beeline to the door. I don't know if they paid cover or not. Hopefully they didn't. But they got into the club. They went up to the booth. They're like, hey, we're just huge fans. And I was like, oh shit, you know who I am. And they told me, they're where they were from, what they do on the boat, and going out and listening to music, and it was amazing to meet people that actually listen to the stuff that you put out, and they were like actual real fans. And after that, I told them, anytime you guys are in the same city as me, for sure, just let me know. I will take care of you at any club. I appreciate you. Thank you for boosting my ego and letting me know that the stuff that I put out there gets listened to by regular folk, and then they like it. Because let's be honest here, most of our audience is DJs. We are our own audience. So Katie Mack and her friends happened to be going to, I think, San Francisco, or they were in the area of San Francisco another time where I was playing a gig, and they came out to the club, and it was a great time. They had a really fun time. I think it was like six friends came out to the club, partied, danced all night. It was fantastic. So again, anytime that, and I believe she listens to the podcast because she wrote an email in. Anytime that anyone's in a city where I'm playing, by all means, hit me up. It's easy for me to take care of people, and we can go out, party, eat, whatever. Katie Mack writes, you travel the world, you play in some amazing clubs, master the craft, continue your challenge skills. You're being really, really nice, Katie. You've clearly made a name for yourself in the DJ world, at least in my personal opinion. Well, thank you. You're now sharing advice on a successful podcast and have thousands of followers on social media. With that being said, I'm sure you've heard the term Momma I made it. Simply put, have you had your moment? If so, when was that? If not, what goals do you have to be able to sit back and say, holy shit, I made it? Does that make sense? Like for an actor, maybe he's like, if I land this big movie and I know I've accomplished everything, or a singer may think when I perform at the MTV Music Awards, I know I've made it. Or shit, maybe you've already had that moment. Your schedule is amazing and you're cruising. As an outsider, I would say you're good. Thank you. But I'm interested to know what your thoughts are. Sorry for the rambling email. No problem. Hopefully go to Seattle. Until then, reschedule, watch your schedule and recreate a San Fran night. Cool. So I guess the question is, have I had the Momma I made it moment? And the answer is no. And I think it's because I don't allow myself to have that moment. There's a lot of Momma I hit my goal, but not Momma I made it. So when I was in 18, 19, my late teens, and I was working the small room in the back of a club, making the main room was Momma I made it, or Momma I made that goal. But, for the sake of, I think it's fair to say Momma I made it when I make it to the main room. So I made it to the main room, and it's like, Momma I made it. But then it was like, okay, well, this is just one club. Now I want to play the main room of another club. So then when I got the headline at that main room, not just open, but headline, Momma I made it. When I got to headline at a different room, Momma I made it. When I got to play at a different club, Momma I made it. The first time I made over $1,000 playing music, Momma I made it. So there's a lot of Momma I made it, or a lot of goals that are like hit along the way. I don't think that they're, at least for me, and I don't want to speak for everyone out there, but I don't think there's ever a moment where you're like, okay, this is it. Like I'm at the top. Because there's always a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more. Like, how much more can you do? I don't by any means think that I'm at a peak. I might be inside of a top percentile of the people that do what I do, but it's all relative. Because I can walk through the mall and nobody knows who I am. Whereas there might be a B-level movie actor that can't do that because they get hounded everywhere they go. But then again, I'm not chasing fame. So I've had many Momma I've made it moments throughout my career. But there's never like that one where it's like, okay, this is the end. This is the moment. And I don't think that ever comes. I don't think I'll ever have that. And that's part of the reason, if not a big, large part of the reason why I continue to push forward in everything that I do professionally, because I'm always after another Mama I Made It moment, knowing that there will never be an end to them as long as I keep pushing. So, for example, another Mama I Made It moment. My January is completely full. Did I do all the work? No. I mean, I have an agent and we work together side by side, and he's very good at what he does. I'm good at what I do. So we make a good team. And by the way, it is the holiday season, DJs. So if you have the time and the money to put together a care package for some of the bookers that have taken care of you throughout the year, I would highly recommend that you put together a care package and send it out, because they might really appreciate it. And if they're discussing what residents they're going to keep for 2019, and they happen to have a product or a thank you note or something from you, you might be the first on their mind. So, to answer your question, Katie, I don't think I've had a Mama I Made It final moment. And even in life, because I kind of like twist my life with my professional life. So like I have like certain plans and goals, things that I want to do, things I want to achieve along the way. And once I hit those metrics or those goals, I'm like, Mama, I made it. Mama, I made it. And for sure, it's directly Mama, I made it, because she was the person that had the patience to put me in a position where I could do everything I wanted to do. The next email is from DJ EMP, who says at the end, you don't have to read this on the podcast, but we're going to do it anyway. Hey, Conflict, I wanted to reach out to you and let you know the impact your podcast has had on me. After tons and tons of thinking and mapping out things in my head, I was able to make the decision that I want to pursue DJing full time, and the content and insights from your podcast helped tremendously in that. I'm relatively new to my current market, so it will be a long, tough road, but I know I can do it. I found a way to balance going out and networking 2 nights a week while working my day job and still DJing Fridays and Saturdays. I got my first opening gig at a new club within a month after truly pursuing this. I'm really excited about the decision that I've had to pursue DJing as a career instead of a side job, and you have had a big part in that. So I wanted to thank you very much for doing this. Wishing you the best, DJ EMP. P.S. You don't have to read this on the podcast. We just did. DJ EMP, congratulations, sir. Just keep moving forward and everything will align for you as long as you keep working. We have actually, when I said we had a bunch of questions, we don't have that many, but DJ Anthony Alvarez writes, thanks for answering my last question about the laptop and photos. I was wondering if you've ever reached a dull moment in your DJ career. I think because I've been DJing so many private mobile gigs that I'm getting to the point where I want something different. Been to the point where I want to do more bar and club gigs, maybe focus on production, but I feel like I'm too old, 29, to work my way into the club and bar scene. Why the hell? And then why the hell don't you post YouTube videos anymore? No, and then do you have another channel I'm not aware of? No, I don't have a channel that you're not aware of. The video thing was we'll start from the end and then work our way back. The video thing that I did on YouTube, like for three or four videos, was just me trying to expand my brand and figure out what I wanted to add as another piece to the puzzle or a piece to the product that I am. The problem with that video, I would do like videos after the club is what it was called. I would do a video after the club. Like, here's what happened tonight. And this girl came up and requested this. And I was like, no, you can't. And then she was like, oh, no, why not? It was basically a rundown of the night when I DJ'd. The problem with that is it takes like 10 minutes and I'm tired as hell after. Sometimes I have like 2 hours before a flight. And quite frankly, I don't feel like talking. I don't feel like looking at a camera. I probably look run down. I don't feel like going over the night, and it's just, I want to relax. I want to decompress. I want to chill. Once the work is done, I don't want to do more work. And I didn't see that there would be a lot of value in those videos because, let's be honest, a long form podcast like this is way better than a 10-minute video describing something that went on that night. So instead of doing that, if something goes on that I'm like, oh, this will make a good story for the podcast, I'll write it down and then talk about it for 20 minutes. Instead of having to be on video and then not knowing where to put my hands and is my hair all right and where am I looking at? Like, is the angle cool? Lighting all right? There's so much less to worry about. I'm just talking into a microphone right now, and that's it. Like, you don't need to know any other details of me, because that's just what you're getting across is just the sonic, what's the word? Find it. I should have said auditory, but now I want to find the sonic. It's not the hedgehog. Sonic sense. So the only thing coming across right now is the sense of sound. So that's why I stopped doing those videos. In regards to your question, you should pursue something different if you want something different. There's no too old for this. You can find something somewhere, even if it's one night a week on an off day or one night a week on a weekend, regardless of what you look like, what you play, how you dress, that will have you DJ if the price is right. So all you have to do is find the place that will have you and say, hey, I'd like to play here on a Friday. And if they say, well, you don't dress right, or you're too old, or if they give you some sort of an obstacle, be like, well, then I can make up the value by charging you less money. If your end is not to specifically make money off of that and just change your scenery, you could do that. Also, 29 is not, it's not old. I mean, you're still in your 20s. Maybe you're 30 by now, but because this was a month ago you sent this email, but 29 is not old. I think David Guetta dropped his first album when he was 36. So if your thought was focus on production, you got 6 years to beat, or you got 5.5 years to beat David Guetta dropping your first album. If I remember correctly, his first album dropped at 36. So again, there's no barrier there besides the self-imposed one that you might be placing on yourself, thinking that you're too old, because you're not. And then your initial question was, have you ever reached a dull moment in your career? Not fucking ever. No, not ever. The cool thing is that I've been really fortunate because I've had most weekdays free. So I have free time to plan creative things, do projects, podcasts, photo shoots, anything that I want to supplement my brand, my product, my DJ career. And then during the weekends and sometimes during the week, I'll go and play music for people. So I've never been bored, because I was having a conversation recently and I was like, I've never done anything in my life. After the 2 weeks that I worked at a grocery store when I was 14, I've never done anything that I really, really didn't want to do. Granted, you have to stand in line at the DMV, or you got to stand in line to buy groceries, or sometimes it sucks to have to pay when something in your house breaks. You know, you don't want to do those things, but you kind of gotta. But in regards to like big, monumental life things, a job, a trip, something that like you have to do this because if not, you don't get to live. You know, you can't tell your landlord, hey, I'm not going to pay rent this month because I didn't really want to go to work. You can't do that. I don't want to say never, because very infrequently do I do things that I don't want to do. So it's not dull because I love that freedom. Even if sometimes I might be a little bit uninspired, I get inspired by the amount of freedom I have. So instead of saying to myself, oh, I don't really feel like doing this, I don't want to go to work, or I don't really feel like doing this mix again at a club, or I don't want to play this, you know, maybe there's this next question actually is about an empty room. It's not empty, but there was a snowstorm where I played recently and the club was not packed. In that moment, I could be like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be here. But I remember, that could be considered dull, right? I remember the freedom that I gain from doing a good job regardless of the conditions placed in front of me. And that freedom is what motivates me, because I'm like, fuck 9 to 5. I did that for 2 weeks when I was 14 and I still have nightmares about goddamn bagging groceries. I'm cool. Like, at this point, at my age, with the amount of years that I've clocked in being my own boss and doing my own thing, I think it'll be really hard for me to ever fall into a standard cubicle job or something that I don't see as fun. I'm not saying that I wouldn't, because at the same time, if it has to be done, it has to be done. So maybe, now I'm having an internal dialogue with myself. Maybe regardless of what I do, I would find some positive in it and do the best that I can. Maybe I'm just built that way. I mean, if it wasn't DJing, if I had to sell insurance, then I'd be the best insurance salesman, and I'd want the manager job because that way I could take longer vacations and tell people what to do. So I would just work my ass off, do better than the current manager, get him out of his job, and then take over that position. I don't know. Maybe I'm just built that way. I guess that's a possibility also, that regardless of what gets placed in front of me, I wouldn't find it dull or boring, or I would not be unhappy with it, because I'd try to find a positive spin and try to do the best that I could at that specific job. I think that's probably closer to the truth than I like the freedom, because I do. It's very much a true statement that I do a really good job at everything that I do, because I love the freedom that affords me. But I think it's probably a little bit more true that regardless of what I was doing, I would do the best job to be able to make that thing that I'm doing a source of happiness. So that's the best answer I could give you, Anthony. I hope that you find somewhere to play that's outside of your usual, I don't want to say the word dull, but outside of your usual circle of gigs. DJ A Minor came out to Charlotte on Saturday. Was Saturday the snowstorm? I think it was. I think you did a great job. It's always tough to hold an empty / half empty room. It was half empty, and everyone in the room seemed to be moving. It seemed like everyone in the room was on the floor moving. Oh, that's a better sentence. It seemed okay. So just to give you guys a little backstory, I played in Charlotte on Saturday. There was a massive snowstorm. I was convinced. So I did the travel for this flight, this gig. So what happens is sometimes nightclubs will reimburse you for a flight, or they will book a flight for you, or your agent might book a flight. It really depends on the kind of deals that you broker. I know that I know how to travel, and I know my schedule, I know my times, I know what I like. So the majority of the times I'll book my own flights and figure out my own travel, because when I'm doing 3 or 4 days in a row, the first step to remembering and gearing up for this travel for me is to know when it is, where it is, what I'm doing. So just booking those things myself, I'm already starting that process of actually going and doing everything I have to get done, and then seeing them in my emails, and then remembering it helps me get around. So I had my flight booked from Fort Lauderdale or Miami to Charlotte, and the day before it was like, huge snowstorm happening in Charlotte tomorrow and Sunday, real difficult, cancellations left and right. So like I started watching the Weather Channel, and I know when weather is going to be fucked. And this was, that's really crude, and I apologize if there's any children listening, but sometimes adults use words that you shouldn't. And also, I forget the DJ's name, but the DJ that doesn't curse all the time. I apologize to you too, sir. I know when weather is going to be terrible, when it's just going to be shut down. And I looked at the weather and I knew that it was going to be shut down. So my original flight was leaving, I think, Miami or Fort Lauderdale, but I'm pretty sure it was Miami, to Charlotte at like 5 p.m. Very different, but I wanted to get some rest. Usually I take the first flight out, but I thought to myself, 2.5 hour flight. I'm on the same coast. I'll take it easy. Wrong answer. Because I looked at the weather the day before, and even though this flight was already booked weeks in advance, I knew that something was going to happen. And I told myself, all right, I'm going to rebook my flight. Now, you guys should also know that I might have like partial PTSD flying at night in bad weather. There was a flight in like 2013 that I took from Fort Lauderdale to Atlantic City. We were landing in a really bad storm, and it was not a good experience, not fun for me. And now I refuse to fly unless it's international. I refuse to fly at night if I can help it. And if I have to fly at night in a storm, I'm driving. I'm just driving. I don't care how far it is. I'll make time. I'll get there in a car. I just don't want to do it. The good thing is that you can you can fly anywhere in the country, either East Coast or West Coast, and get there, in the evening. And as long as there's not a storm, I'm cool with it. Sometimes there's no other way. I just bite the bullet and I'm like, this flight's probably going to suck, but everything will be fine. Flying in the United States is probably one of the safest, if not the safest, Europe being number 2 or tied for number 1. So I'm not really worried about it, but it helps my anxiety. It helps my travel, even though I don't have like a lot of anxiety, but it's enough to where if I can just avoid it and maybe pay a few extra bucks, like I'll just take another flight. So I saw this storm. It was a late flight, and I'm like, well, this is just not going to happen. And not only that, but I'm pretty positive that this airport's going to get shut down. So I decided to change my travel from Miami to Charlotte to Miami to Jacksonville. Usually what I'll do, and this is why I like being in charge of my travel, if there's a messed up situation like the weather, I'll open up the map and I'm like, all right, let's check the airports. What airport is closest to Charlotte that'll get me into Charlotte if I fly in the early morning or the early afternoon and I can drive? So I looked up Jacksonville. I looked up Atlanta. I looked up South Carolina. I looked up, I think, Tennessee, Knoxville. I look up all these airports because I want to see what the cheapest flight is. And then I look up car rental. So I decided on Jacksonville because it looked like the weather was going to be the most stable there. It was going to be missed by the majority of the bad weather, which I don't mind flying in bad weather if it's during the day, but when you tie in like nighttime and bad weather, I don't like it. So I just don't do it. So I flew into Jacksonville, rented a car, drove up for 5 hours, listened to podcasts, had a great time. I love driving. I've driven across a lot of this country for this specific reason, whether it be because I knew that an airport was going to be shut down, or because it's just cheaper to drive, or because I just want to drive. I enjoy driving. Get into Jacksonville probably around noon, and then drove up to North Carolina, which took about 5 hours. It sounds crazy. I loved it. I love all of it. Here's the best part of this story is that, quite literally the best part because the club was half empty, there was a freaking snowstorm going on. When I land in Jacksonville, I'm tired, not too tired. I got some hours the night before, played at Sway in Fort Lauderdale, and took a little bit of a nap. Land in Jacksonville, I'm getting my rental car, and as I'm at the rental car place walking to my car, I get a message on my phone. And at this point, it's probably about noon, maybe 12:30 p.m. And the message says, "This is American Airlines. Your flight has been canceled from Miami to Charlotte." And in that moment, I was like, yes, I am so set. This is great. My flight was canceled. Now I can make the gig. And also, now I can screenshot this and send it to my agent and give him a heart attack. So that's what I did. I sent him the screenshot of the flight because I didn't tell him that I'd changed my flight and I got a car. So I sent him a screenshot of the canceled flight. And he's like, "Why are you taking a 5 p.m. flight? You always take the first flight out. Fix this." And then I said, "I'm in Jacksonville driving up to North Carolina because I knew this would happen. Now bow down to me. Don't tell me what to do. You work for me, agent." We have a great relationship. But it should be noted that if you have an agent, the agent works for the artist, and the DJ is the artist. So even though we work in tandem, technically, the agent works for the DJ. So I sent him another screenshot of me in Jacksonville, and I said, "I'm already driving up." And that was it. I drove up to the gig. I can't think of anything cool that happened on the drive up. It's pretty standard. Just straight shot up. I didn't even stop for gas, I think. Maybe some coffee. Yeah, I think that was it. Just drove straight up, took a nap, got some food, played the gig. When I got to the gig, it started really coming down. It was snowing real hard, especially for like a relatively southern city like North Carolina. In the Northeast, I feel like people are more used to that stuff and it doesn't shut down everything. But North Carolina is one of those places where they don't get snow enough that when it does come down, people are like, nah, not going out. Car's going to slide. Not going out. Too many accidents. Not going out. Too cold. So they just didn't come out. So the question that A minor sent is, what advice do you have for working a dance floor on a really slow night, especially on a slow night on the road? Which is exactly what I was dealing with in North Carolina that day, Saturday. So, what advice? Well, the first would be not to be discouraged. Not to be discouraged because it happens to everyone. As you saw, it happened to me. I'm supposed to be, one of like the top guys in the country. At least that's what people tell me. So it happened to me. I'm not going to sit there and pout about it. I'm going to try to make the people that we have there have a good time because they actually made the effort to come out. Maybe they're celebrating a birthday or someone got engaged or they literally are fans like Katie and her friends and they want to come out and they want to hear me. So I would be doing every one of those parties a disservice if I show up and I'm like, ugh, half empty club. Yeah, whatever. I'm just going to phone this in. That's not cool. Like those people are there to have a good time and your job is to make them have a good time. So the first piece of advice would be not to be discouraged and play the room as best as you can. So the other thing that I do when I encounter a room like that might be half empty or it's slow because of weather or because they shut down streets or whatever the case might be. I've experienced a lot of these moments. When you play as many gigs as I do throughout the year, it happens. It's statistics, right? The other thing that I do is I'm very mindful of what people request because if a crowd is full and everyone's there, I know how to manage that dynamic. But if there's very few people, it's more difficult for me to pick up on reads in regards to what they might like. So it's harder for me to read a smaller crowd than it is a bigger crowd. So if a group or an individual comes up and goes, hey, I'm with, my friends over there, we want to hear this. Now I know specifically what one group wants to hear, and I'm not going to dismiss that, and I'm actually going to play to that and see if the other groups or the other people in the club react. And if they do, then I found a good trend to kind of float on for a while until I want to play something different, a different genre, a different kind of feeling, whatever the case might be, depending on what they have actually requested. Like, for example, in Candy Bar, somebody came up and said, hey, we're with that table over there. Can you play more reggaeton, some Spanish music? And I'm like, yeah, fantastic. You got it. Now I know what the biggest table on the dance floor wants to hear. They're going to drive the energy for the room. So I don't necessarily have to play 30 minutes of reggaeton. I can play a lot of reggaeton sounding music or stuff that feels like reggaeton. And sorry, my accent really comes out when I say reggaeton, but there's no way to say it in English without feeling like a total loser if I say reggaeton. So that's what I did. I played reggaeton music, and then I played a little bit of reggae music, and some like Drake has some cuts, that have the reggae flavor to it. Maybe some twerk style stuff. I don't remember exactly what I played that has like reggae sounding drums. Number one, don't be discouraged. Number two, be more mindful of what people might want to listen to and take requests. Actually, there's been a time where I played a room that was really empty, and before I got on, I walked around to all the tables and like the major groups, and I was like, hey guys, I'm playing music for you tonight. We're kind of slow. Are there any songs that you want to listen to or anything that you're celebrating that you want me to shout out once I get on? And I went to every single group at the club, and I got songs, and I got birthday shout-outs, and I got specific shout-outs that people might want to hear, and I got up there, and I just did it all in the first, 45 minutes to an hour, because I knew it was a slow night, and they probably wouldn't stay all night. So what does that patron get? They get a DJ that was courteous, that was on top of their desires, that was perfect for that kind of night, because I actually listened to what people wanted to hear. I'm not going to go through my usual shtick. I'm not going to be able to bring up the energy, bring down the energy, because there's not a lot of people in that room. So it's, instead of striking out and trying things my way, I'm just going to go up to people like, yo, what do you want? What do you feel like listening to? I find that to be a much better tactic. And when they leave the club, they might be like, yo, it was empty, but the DJ played everything we wanted to hear. Yo, the night wasn't that good, but I got my birthday shout out. There would be not a lot of sad faces leaving. Now, pouty faces. There was one group where the guys were like, can you play, I forget what it was, some like hard ass dubstep / like loud bass stuff that just wouldn't fly. And I was like, look, that's a little bit outside of what I might want to play. So are there any other, actually there was a girl in the group. So I was like, hey, you're the girl. What do you want to hear? And she was like, the Electricity song with Dua Lipa. I'm like, perfect. You got it. You know, like just, you got to work the group at that point. But that's what I did on one of these nights where the night was really slow. I could have done that at Candy Bar, but I didn't really see a lot. There was enough going on where I didn't see the value in doing it that time. And I pretty much nailed most of the groups, I think, from what I saw. So that's the advice that I would have. Don't be discouraged because the club's not full. Be mindful of what you're playing, and if there's requests, take them. And maybe do some recon on your own and go out and introduce yourself to people and be like, hey, I'm playing music for you tonight. Sorry, it's kind of slow, but if there's anything you want to hear, I'd be glad to play it for you, or any shout outs that you might need. What is there to lose at that point? It gives you something to do, right? Because when the club is packed and you have a room to rock, you're in the zone, you know what you're going to play, you know what beats you want to hit, you know what songs you want to get into, and your time and your attention is consumed by the work. But if it's empty, your time and attention are not consumed by work, and it's going to drag for the DJ. I know it used to drag for me before I changed my outlook into what I'm explaining now. Because there would be times where I would show up to an empty room, this is years ago, and be like, oh, God damn it, I got to put in 4 hours here? Before I understood a lot of the value that a mindset could bring to a specific job. So that's my advice. That's what I would tell you to do. Hopefully it works. Let's move on to the next email. All right, so this email, I'm just going to keep it anonymous because there's like parts of it that's like open and parts of it that's closed. When playing the second room of a nightclub, the second room, should you be tiptoeing around bangers, treating the dance floor as a continuation of the warm-up DJ's work from the main room, even if the second room sold some VIP? So, I think I understand this question. If you're playing like the second room of a club, should you play the second room different than the main room? Because in the main room, they're going to be playing the top bangers, and maybe you're better off playing, like, if the main room is open format with like contemporary like hip hop, then maybe you're better off playing like 90s R&B, 90s hip hop, and like a little bit of 2000s stuff that you know that they're not going to play in the main room at prime hours. I could see that working. It really depends on the dynamic of the nightclub. There's no good answer unless you're there in person. So what I would try to do, regardless of what you play, is be the top room. So whatever you have to do to be the top room. If you know the side room is going to play a bunch of house music and people get tired, then you should have some hip hop ready. And when you see a couple people coming in because they might be bored of what's happening in the main room, hammer them with the hits that you're holding back in that moment. So as people walk in, they're like, oh, they're playing much better music in here, making you the number one room. If in the main room they have open format and they have a lot of new music that they're playing, maybe you play some 2000s hip hop or some 90s R&B stuff that is like a little bit smoother, that you might be able to attract some of the crowd that is into the new hip hop but might also like some of the old stuff too. So you give them a refreshing take on how to play a night in a nightclub. But again, trying to steal as many people from the main room as possible, because at the end of the day, what you want is to be in the main room because you want to be the main event. So if the main event happens to be the second room, the smaller room, the side room, you are now the main event, and they're going to be like, yo, you need to play in the main room because what you're doing works, but can you tinker with it a little bit for main room style, but you're good enough that you're stealing people from the main room into the second room. We want you for prime time. That's what I would be after, and that's how I would conduct that specific situation. All right, from DJ Rincon. I would love to, your name is Alejandro Rincon, so it is Rincon, but I imagine that people call you Rincon all the time. Many years ago, mix shows are what sparked my interest in DJing. Over a decade later, I landed my first FM radio show. Congratulations, sir. I DJ for about 1 or 2 hours every weekend for the radio station. It's not a huge market, but it's a medium market. I already DJ an average of 6 nights a week, but I always want to make more money. Yes, we do. How can I use radio to my advantage? Is there a specific formula to market myself now that I'm on a station? Is radio even relevant anymore? Ugh, what a loaded question. So, I'm going to try to keep this as simple as possible because I don't think there's a lot of radio DJs that listen to this. First of all, you DJ an average of 6 nights a week. You're killing it right now. Sorry, curse word. You're killing it right now. 6 nights a week is fantastic. I remember when I used to do like 4 or 5 nights. You must be, your health. You better stay up on your eating habits and your fitness because that's how you will be able to continue to do that for a really long time. So that being said, 6 nights a week is pretty good, but you want more money. So how can you use it to your advantage? Well, the first thing that comes to mind is radios usually have events. So if there are daytime events that the radio is doing, ask to be the DJ that does them. So if there's a concert or a festival or something that goes on in your city attached to your radio station, be like, yo, anytime there's a mobile on the spot thing, I want to be the DJ. Try to network that. So you get more airtime, potentially exposing you to different clientele. It's work, and it's not a guaranteed payback in regards to the time spent versus what the possible rewards might be, but that's one angle. The other angle is to talk to nightclubs and see who's interested in having the night featured on the radio show. So maybe you talk to a nightclub and you're like, yo, I'm on this mix, or if they bring it up to you, be like, hey, I'm on this station. I know that the club has marketing dollars. I could maybe get you some sort of a discount price for a radio commercial to be played during my mix show, and it would help me out because I'll sell a commercial, and also we'll be doing work for the club. I work here, so they'll be listening to my mix, and then I can say right after the commercial, you can catch me at this club this day at this time. So you can kind of cross-pollinate promotional activities between nightclubs and the radio. Again, the upside is not that big because your last question, is radio even relevant anymore? I would say the answer is no. Because anyone that's 21 years old that's listening to just the radio is probably because they can't afford a smartphone. And I'm not saying that to be like a dick, like, oh, you can't afford a smartphone. No, I'm saying it because they just can't afford it. And so they listen to radio. I really doubt that there's a lot of people that are tuning into radio like, oh, I can't wait. Unless it's, again, DJs trying to listen to DJs mix. So the amount of options that people have on their phone and plugging into cars, like my first car didn't have a tape deck. It was just AM and FM radio. So I was stuck listening to that. But you can update the radio, and then you had a jack for a CD player, or you can get a cassette tape, a little cassette tape deck. And the cassette had a cable out of it that was an 1/8 inch that you can plug into something else, and like a CD player or whatever medium of playing. Anyway, no one's listening to radio in the new generation. They have too many options. It's stupid to listen to songs that you didn't pick and then have to listen to commercials in between. Like every time I will play radio specifically just to hear what is in rotation, but I get rotation emails anyway, so I know what the primary songs that radios are going to play are. And that way I know which songs are the most popular. That being said, I don't think that there's a specific formula to market yourself now that you're on radio. If anything, it would be to work internally at the radio station and try to land corporate gigs. So if a corporation comes up and goes, hey, we're going to do an event, we want your radio station to cover it, tell whoever's in charge of that you want to be the specific DJ from the station for that event. So if there is a car dealership that's doing a promotional giveaway for a free car on a Sunday, and they're promoting it with your radio station, then you say, hey, I want to be the DJ, or tell them that they have to have me as the DJ for this promo and they got to pay me. And that way you can make more money. Internally is the way to do it. I don't know what the structure of your radio station's like. It's a difficult scenario to navigate, especially since I don't think that radio is a valid form of entertainment anymore. It's just a matter of time. Cars already come with internet connection. Who wants to listen to terrestrial radio? It's a waste, in my opinion. And this is coming from someone that worked on radio for a while. So we have another question here from, I think, let's see, we're 51 minutes. Actually, we have 2 questions left. So we'll just knock it out since it's been a minute since the last podcast. You know what I do want? I'm going to have a little bit of water because I'm parched from talking so much. Excuse me. Much better. I am reinvigorated. Hey, boss man, I'm a resident DJ for a country club that's about an hour away from Dallas. I wonder if you mean a country club or a club that plays country. We have a population of about 100,000, but we have 2 pretty big colleges in town. Thursdays on our college night, we bring a crowd of 700 to 900. Fantastic. College kids don't spend money, though, so you're probably underpaid. When I started it, it was about 70% country music and 30% hip-hop. Now I'm even more confused because is it a country club or a club that plays country? Well, with that statement, I'm going to guess that it was a club that plays country. 70% country and 30% hip-hop music. After doing it for about a year, it's switched to more of 70% hip-hop. Okay. My first question is, at what point do you think it is right to bring in a bigger city DJ or traveling DJ? Is it when you hit a certain amount of people, or is it based on the format of the club? All right, so for your first question, it's always right to book a traveling DJ. Please message my agent, Lewis. Sorry, it's late. What point do you think it's right to bring in a bigger city DJ or traveling DJ? Well, if the club can afford it and they want to give their patrons something different, then I think that anytime that they can afford an out-of-town DJ, that's when I would do it. If they're bringing in 700 and 900 people without a DJ, without a traveling DJ, they're not going to need the traveling DJ for promo. What you would be doing is treating your guests to something different, something new, something exciting, something they haven't heard before. Maybe you're treating the staff also, you're treating the the resident DJs. And maybe at the end of the night you find that having somebody give the room a different look, a different feel in regards to music does something to the bottom line, meaning people spend more money. So instead of those 900 kids drinking 1 drink at the bar or 2 drinks, they end up having 2.5 or 3. And so you have a sizable metric to the expense, the upfront expense of having a new DJ from out of town come into the nightclub. So that would be one way to look at it, that maybe the out of town DJ can bring value to the bottom line of the nightclub. The second is that it would be a treat for the patrons and the staff and the resident DJs. And I guess the third is you never know till you try, right? Look, there's a lot of times where you can go to a sporting event and they might be doing a giveaway. Or if this team hits a home run, or if this team gets this many 3-pointers, then free tacos or free donuts or free this or free that. Does that cost the stadium and the other groups that might be doing this giveaway money? Yeah, it does. But it makes people happy to win free things and to have different things and to have experiences. So sometimes an immediate return on your money is not the only upside to spending it. And there is no right point to bring in a bigger DJ or a traveling DJ. If the club is slammed and you guys are making money, then try it out. See how it goes. Give somebody a heads up. Book somebody that can play 70% hip hop. Give them a rundown on some country music and let them try it out. And what I would tell you to do is pick somebody that can go in there and crush it the first time. Because if you've never booked a DJ before from out of town, if the first one that you bring in sucks and it does a terrible job, you pretty much close that door for the future, which has happened at a lot of clubs, actually. A lot of clubs that I or my management team have tried to get into would say, oh no, we don't book anymore. We don't see the value. We used to book a bunch of DJs and our locals do better. Boom, door shut. Can't do anything about it. So what are you going to do, right? So the first DJ that you bring in, if you guys decide to bring someone in, should be someone that could play the room right, and you, being the resident, should really step up and help with the election process. Even though it's 70% hip hop and 30% country, so you would have to learn at that point, per hour you'd be playing like let's say 40 hip hop songs and maybe like 7 or 8 country songs, something like that. So I think it's doable, especially if your market's in Dallas, which I believe closes at 2 a.m. So in the total, I'm not going to get into math. So yeah, those are the points that I probably would like to make in regards to that question. And then the second question is, on a college night, I get about 15 to 20 people requesting for birthday shout-outs. Do you have a way of making each shout-out personal? I find myself saying just about the same thing for every shout-out. Well, the first thing that I would tell you is to get a bucket and a piece of paper and some tape and a marker. On the paper, I want you to cut it probably about 1/4 long ways, so you have a nice long strip. And I want you to write on it, birthday shout-out tips. Then I want you to take the piece of tape and then tape it on the front of that bucket and then put that bucket in front of you as you DJ. Now, those 15 to 20 people are going to have to tip you to get a birthday shout out. At which case, who cares what you say? You're getting some money and you're doing it anyway. No. Look, there's a million ways to say happy birthday. It's just a matter of pushing yourself to be different. Maybe you need to plan this ahead of time outside of the club and just brainstorm when you're not under the gun in regards to, I have to play a song and there's this going on and that going on. And when you're not under so much pressure, make a list of 7 or 8 different ways to say happy birthday to someone, and then just write them down, take them to the club, and then just start rotating them. Big happy birthday shout out to this person. It's blank birthday today. Congratulations, celebrating with us inside of whatever club. It's this person's birthday. You guys remember when you turned 21? Guess whose 21st birthday it is? That person. If you're celebrating this person's birthday, I want everyone in the club to make some noise. Now I'm just going to keep going with it until I run out of ways to say it. I want to stop the music and give a big shout out to this person who's having a birthday. Congratulations. I want this person to take a shot right now because it's your birthday. Congratulations, person. See, there's a million ways to just keep going and going and going, but write them down. And if you use mine, feel free to send me some tip money. You just have to exercise your brain prior to being in that crunch moment where your attention might be pulled in a bunch of different directions. Or you could just give them all the same shout out because it's okay too. But push yourself. Push yourself to be different. I think that's a good idea. Finally, last question. Edwin Romero. Hey, Conflict. Hope everything's going well. Oh, sorry. I read that wrong. I read what I wanted to read in my head. Hey, Conflict. How's everything going, brother? There we go. Hope all is well. That's where I got it confused. Here's my question. Not sure if you've seen or heard the new Serato update. There's a new feature called Serato Play, something I will never use, so I don't really care. But I'm not being mean, Edwin. I just wanted to throw some shade at Serato. Not sure if you've seen or heard the new Serato update. There's a new feature called Serato Play. Serato Play allows you to use Serato fully without any hardware, kind of like virtual DJ. Not sure if this is a game changer or if this is going to fuck up the game with that saying everyone's now a DJ. That's long been the way that we've been living in the market. Would love your feedback on this. Serato DJ fucking sucks. And I don't care that I curse that time because it just does. It's a stupid program that's bloated, that has a bunch of shit that nobody needs and nobody uses. If anyone out there uses, half, 35, 40% of the features that Serato DJ brings these days, I would love to see a video of you doing that. I'm getting heated right now because fuck Serato DJ. I would love to see a video of you using 35%. Just, 25%. Use 25% of the bloated features that are not available on Scratch Live, which is the first iteration of Serato. Use 25% of the features in Serato DJ and make a video. Make a 5-minute video and send it to me. And if you do that, I'll put it on my social media and I'll send you a goddamn, I don't know, I'll find something to send you in regard, but no, you know what? There's going to be, let me stop myself real quick. I got too angry. I got too angry. People are just going to go out and make that video. Let me calm down for a second. What upsets me is that they keep pushing all of these features that are not a necessity for professional DJs. They have completely disregarded the first class that switched over to Serato. So I just realized what bothers me about Serato. The first class of DJs that switched from vinyl to Serato were the first adopters. I was maybe amongst the first or second wave because I was on another program called Final Scratch that died along the way. But it was the same thing. It was just a different interface. It was made by Stanton. And I used it because the opening DJ in a room that I was playing at the time in like 2004 was on that. And it was easier to switch. And it was my only gig. So I was like, yeah, I'll just get what you have. It's easier. But Serato was what I immediately hopped onto after because it was just a better program, Scratch Live. The first wave of Scratch Live adopters were vinyl DJs. The first wave of professional DJs that got on Serato were vinyl DJs. And I feel like Serato has disenfranchised that first wave and all the professional DJs that came from that vinyl era by just bloating the program with a bunch of shit that none of them will ever need because they're good enough to make it work without I think it was called Serato Flip. And I'm not even talking about Serato Play because I don't really care about that, but I'll get to it in a second. Let me make sure that this is the right thing. Serato Flip. Is this right? Last year, Serato introduced Serato Flip, an incredible feature that lets DJs record cue point automation easily and recall edits on the fly. For the DJ that's new to production, Flip is an easy way to create edits that doesn't require a DAW. So you don't have to use Ableton or make the edits yourself. The thing is, who the fuck uses Serato Flip? Who is going out there and making like these patterns that jumps from cue point to cue point? It's the stupidest idea ever, in my opinion. Now, if there's someone out there that uses Serato Flip, wow, congratulations. You're using something that I didn't think would ever be usable in the nightclub because I have fingers and I can hit a cue point. And, it just seems like something excessive. And the problem is that I believe what happened is maybe they got a new CEO, maybe they got someone new at Serato, but they looked at it and they were like, Scratch Live, basically, when you buy Scratch Live, you're buying the program and then 2 pieces of vinyl. You get the box, and then that's it. What else are you buying from Serato? You might be buying a pair of vinyl every year. So their main source of income from a DJ is that one initial purchase, and then after that, just a couple dollars here and there for vinyl. But they needed to change their model because they wanted to sell you more things. So they made a new program, which was based around the sync button, which is okay, fine. Who cares? You use sync, it's fine. It's fine. You use sync. I don't care. You use it. I don't mind. So they built a new program, and then they added a bunch of features, but you don't get them. You got to buy them. So now you're buying the program, and you got to buy the Echo Pack, and you got to buy the Flip, and you got to buy this, and now you got to update to buy Serato Pack. Oh, but you also got to buy the Club Kit if you want to use the program with the mixer. You got to buy the club kit. I understand the for-profit model of a corporation. I understand what a business is supposed to do. It's supposed to make money. But you're disenfranchising that first wave of DJs that basically made your program take off. The first wave of professional DJs that moved from vinyl to scratch live. What have you done for them? Like, what have you done besides create a program for people that don't know how to do a lot of things, or people that might need a lot of help with their DJing, which I'm not mad at. I get it. There's different levels of talent. There's different levels of ability, especially for beginners. I get it. You made a program that helps everyone from day one. But the 10-year people haven't really been getting much except a bloated program that doesn't run well. Like, I just got a message from Obscene the other day, who's been a SERATO DJ diehard. He's like, I switched over, nothing happened. And he's like, yo, what OS are you on? I'm moving back. I've been having problems. Like, I'm still on Yosemite. I'm stifling my operating system on my computer because I refuse to upgrade and lose Scratch Live, because I don't want to have to DJ on SERATO DJ. I think it's a very shit program. I don't think that it has anywhere near the stability of Scratch Live, and I think it has a bunch of bloated features that I would love to see the research and development, the R&D department at SERATO. Like, man, I've had daydreams of like messaging SERATO like, yo, let me talk to your CEO. I'll buy my flight to New Zealand if that's where you are. Like, this is like an $8,000 flight. I'll buy it and I'll go talk to your people and kind of give you guys the rundown. If maybe you're just far enough removed on an island where you can't really hear us from the mainland screaming that the program sucks. I remember I went to, and I'm not alone in this, by the way. I'm really not. There might be some DJs that are like, oh, SERATO DJ is fine, everything's great, and they're vocal about it. But I'd love to know if they're getting paid or they're getting a little bit of, a little bit of love from SERATO every now and then. It's like, if SERATO called me tomorrow and was like, yo, we know that you don't like SERATO DJ. We're gonna cut you a check for $25,000 a year, and we want you to just kind of like give it some praise. I would tell them to take that $25,000 and give it to someone that can make Scratch Live update on new operating systems, and I wouldn't take $1 because it's just stupid. It's stupid that I have to be on an operating system from like 5.5, 6 years ago. Or, wait, Yosemite? I don't know if it's that long ago. At least 4. That I have to be on a program from 4 years ago because they make this continuously bloated product with things that no professional really needs. Like the new SERATO Play feature, I get who it's for. It's for people that don't have decks or a controller. So you plug in an audio cord and then a splitter, and then you can put in headphones, and the other wire goes to your speakers. Dude, that's freaking amazing. If you're a college kid and you want to play around with SERATO DJ, SERATO Play, you don't have the money for a controller, or if you're in middle school and your parents can't afford decks for you, or you can't afford decks and you want to learn how to DJ, you want to play around, Virtual DJ has been around for a while, so that's available, but now it's on, I guess, a more legit platform in SERATO. I get it, and I love that those people are going to have access to that. But what are you doing for us? Like the professional DJs that are, light years and levels above that. You're giving us a program that has a bunch of features and a bunch of back end that we don't need, we don't use, and just weighs everything down. So that's my problem with SERATO DJ. That they've disenfranchised the people that brought them into the mainstream. The people that made it cool for that college kid to want to download SERATO Play and pay them $100 or however much it costs. Let's look it up, because I would love to end this rant by being completely mad at what they charge for. Oh, look, they have a pricing right on the main page. Fantastic. I'm guessing SERATO DJ Pro comes with, SERATO Play. You got to buy the suite. Am I right? You can't get it with the Pro. I would go to learn more. This is completely unprofessional, and I'm sure that a lot of people out there are really mad at me because I'm just complaining nonstop, but this is just how I feel. Oh, wait a minute. Wow. That's something. So, to get SERATO Play, I believe you have to buy the suite, which is $300. Let's say that you can get it with Serato DJ Pro for $129. I doubt that. Oh, actually, or you can do the subscription, which is $11.99 a month. So I think that the whole switch for the new model of Serato after they stopped doing Scratch Live and moved to Serato DJ has been because they wanted to implement a subscription-based business and sell people more things, which I'm not opposed to. I subscribe to a lot of things. I have a subscription to lots of stuff that I pay on a monthly basis, but all of it fucking works when I need it to, and all of it does what it's supposed to do. And I have found that Scratch Live continuously does that, and I haven't given $1 towards that program since I bought it, which is a problem for them, which I see it. But that's where we are with Serato DJ. I think it's a shit program. I think that whoever was in charge, I'd love to know what their market cap is, if they're a publicly traded company, what it would cost to buy them. If I ever hit some sort of a lottery, I'll buy the whole program and scrap every single program that they've put out there and start from the ground up. Or I'd make a designated real Serato DJ Pro for professional DJs that mimics the stability, the usability, and the ease of use, well, I guess that's the same thing, of Scratch Live. That's what I would do. I wouldn't shut down the company. I mean, we got to make money, right? If I own Serato, we got to make money. So yeah, you're going to have to buy the DJ suite for $300, which I don't have a problem with. That's cool, but give us at the top, the guys that don't need all these things, like give us something that we can use with the same stability, with the same confidence that we use Scratch Live with when we brought your program into the forefront, when we made it cool for people to want to DJ. That ends my Serato DJ rant, and I hope that if anyone out there is turned off about what I've just said, you give me a little bit of sympathy here, because I'm working with a really old operating system, and sometimes I can't get programs. I can't get all the programs I want because they're like, oh, your operating system does not meet our requirements. And the only reason why I do it, even though I do have 2 computers, the only reason why I do it is because I want to keep using Scratch Live, because it's just a better program. And if anyone out there is a real big Serato DJ fan and you get paid by them, I apologize. I get a little riled up because, once again and always, I'm on Team DJ, not Team Serato. So I will always go to bat for my community and my peers, not for a corporation or a program. Even though they've given us a lot and they've done a lot for us, when I feel like we might not be getting everything that we are deserving, I'm going to be vocal about it. And I'm sorry if that rubs people the wrong way. I know sometimes when I go off on some of these things that I feel a little bit passionate about, there might be people out there that are like, oh, Serato DJ works fine for me. I don't understand. Well, I get it. But there's a lot of people that are listening to the same podcast that are like, yeah, you tell them. Tell them that program sucks. Because they had the program crash, 3 times and they lost a gig, or because they couldn't do something like download a track when they needed to because they were afraid to turn on the Wi-Fi because Serato DJ uses so much of the computer's processing system that they don't want to mess with it. Those are the people I'm talking to. If you have no problem with Serato DJ, that's fine. Use it. I'm glad it works. For me, it doesn't. And anytime that I can use Scratch Live, I will do so. And I hear, you want to get, I'm going to end the podcast on this, on the tinfoil hat. Hopefully someone from Serato is listening to this. Here's what I hear, guys. I want everyone to get real close and put on your tinfoil hats. I hear that in the future there will be an update to Serato DJ Pro. This update, when you plug the program, the new updated program, which I don't believe that it's there yet, but in the future there's going to be something written into the program. And when you connect into an SL4 or an SL3, it will prevent that box from using Scratch Live. Now, hold on. Stop. It's not for sure. This is a rumor that I heard. I'm not promoting this as news. I'm not. But I heard from someone. I hate that I'm saying this out loud because I hate stupid rumors and gossip. But somebody told me in the future, SERATO DJ Pro will come out with an update that when you plug into an SL4 or an SL3, it will prevent Scratch Live from being used on that box. Once you update the drivers on that box from the program, it will prevent that box from being used with Scratch Live because they are tired of the Scratch Live talk. They want to force everyone to change. Now, again, pause, stop, halt. Rumor. This is a rumor, not confirmed, and I don't know. But in the case that there is someone from SERATO listening, if this was a thought to disable the box through a program, preventing another program to be used on it, I'm going to guess, and then again, tinfoil hats on, everybody, tinfoil hats, because this is never going to happen. I doubt it. It's a rumor. But if there happens to be someone from SERATO listening, and this is like a real program that you guys are going to put out where it updates the drivers and you can't use Scratch Live on that box anymore, I'm sure that I don't think your lawyers would approve that, because I don't think they would approve that. Because what you're doing is somebody bought a box, so I bought an SL4, that's my property now, that's my thing, and then your program changes what my thing does, unless there's like a huge warning, and like you have to accept that you have to update the drivers to use the program and you will no longer be able to use the old. Unless there's that, I doubt that it would be hidden in the program. I don't think that's going to happen, because you would be altering my thing that I bought, and then I would just sue you for breaking my thing through a program. Or you would be sued by someone. Not I would, but that's what I'm guessing. So, because it's my thing, I paid for it, and you're changing my thing. So I doubt that it would be like a hidden thing. Again, you can keep your tinfoil hats on because this is just a rumor. I doubt that it would be a hidden driver that would not allow you to use Scratch Live with that box anymore. It would have to be something that you agree to, is my guess. And it would probably be, someone would find it. But I really hope that's not the case. Even though I have my own box, my own SERATO box, like shit, how much more are you going to stifle me, SERATO, if that's the truth? If it's the case that you guys are going to build that in, you're going to make me have a 5-year-old operating software, a box that I can never update. You're going to make me fly with it everywhere. You're going to make me plug in my box to play on Scratch Live. And I'm still going to talk shit about SERATO DJ. Ladies and gentlemen, this is My Favorite DJ, the podcast. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, you can email them to myfavoritepodcast@gmail.com. Once again, that's myfavoritepodcast@gmail.com. Any questions that you might have. If you're a DJ, I'd love to answer them. If you're not a DJ and you're curious about the DJ world, send them over. I'll do my best to answer. If you have mixes that you want featured, I feature mixes that DJs sent to me. You can look up older shows. There's been a lot of mixes featured. All you have to do, listen carefully, is make a mix and send it to me to myfavoritepodcast@gmail.com. 45 minutes, no longer than that. And remember that your core audience is going to be DJs, so make something fun for DJs. That's all I got. I hope I didn't piss off a lot of people. And you know what would be nice, guys? If you agree with me, send me an email and tell me, look, I agree with you. I play on Scratch Live. SERATO DJ sucks. And I'll just give you a shout out. Thank you. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you guys soon. There won't be this long of a wait between the next podcast and now, because I'm back on the grind. Let's make the best out of the last couple days of the year. Thank you guys for listening.